Bonus and regret. Run it.
I'd like to call this committee of the whole meeting to order at 7 p.m. for September the 18th, 2023. I'd also like to recognize that we're on Treaty 5 traditional territory of Nishnaway Cree Nation and homeland of the Métis, and that we are all Treaty people. I have regrets tonight from Councillor Oberdorfer and Councillor Lundmark. Thank you. Next, I'd like the approval of the agenda. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor McIver, all in favor? Carried. Community comments, feedback? Any community comments or feedback? Third time, community comments, feedback. My granddaughter's not speaking tonight, we are fine. Thank you. Number 5, we're going to go into report. 5.1 is the RCMP and CSO report. And Inspector Worrell, would you like to come front and center or do it there, whichever is more comfortable for you?
I'll do whatever you need to do.
You're fine right there.
I'm happy to present our summer PC report for you. So that's for June, July, and August. I guess the last time I was here was May, so just went by that. For the summer, we've been starting staffing challenges throughout the summer. So right now, when I wrote this report, which was last week, we do have 4 hard vacancies right now. 4 hard vacancies are positions in which the has left, and we don't have new boots on the ground yet. So they are on the way, because this is going to change in 2 days from now. Our sergeant arrives on Wednesday, or sergeant arrives on Wednesday. We have 2 more recruits coming in October. We have 2 more recruits coming in November. So things are constantly changing in the attachments are but at the moment when I wrote this, we did have 4 hard vacancies, and we have carried some vacancies throughout the summer, but I think as we move forward to the end of the year, we'll be in very good shape. So particularly so compared to the rest of the detachments in Manitoba and throughout the Lakes. For our clerical resources, we currently have 5 of 9 positions filled. I think we have 1 more that we are working through the application process full. For crime trend reporting up to August 31st, 2023, we've so far fielded a total of 12,384 calls for service. That is up from last year by 8.6%. So I recall in May that we were up in the 11 or 12% range. So through the summer, our calls have gone down, or our average above what was that last year has gone down. So I'm hopeful that as we get close to the end of the year, perhaps we'll even out with last year and maybe not have such an increase in calls for service for our total calls for service. The greatest increase in calls for service that we're seeing so far is theft, so it's mostly shoplifting and low-level property crime. Slight increase in mischief calls by 2.5%. Our break-in enters are down by 9.1%. Assaults up by 3%. Sexual assaults up by 8%, keeping in mind that number is relatively low altogether. It's only an increase of 8 calls for service over last year. Drug possessions down by 27%, impaired driving down by 36%, motor vehicle collisions down by 2%, public disorder up by 15%, mental health down by 14%, and our prisoner count up by 26% over last year. So you'll notice in the prisoner count graph that I gave you, our prisoner count has dropped significantly over the summer. I expect that's due in part to the Manitoba liquor strike that occurred between July 19th to August 27th. So between July 19th and August 8th, we were seeing intermittent closures at the liquor venue with a full closure between August 8th and August 27th. So for the diagram that I provided you, immediately upon the full strike occurring on August 8th, we saw a 30% decrease in public disorder calls and a 16% decrease in total calls for service. Throughout the summer, that was pretty noticeable for us. Immediately upon the strike ending on August 27th, the following week, we saw a 100% increase in public disorder calls and a 32% increase in total calls for service. And that was the week immediately following the end of the full-on strikes. For community policing and crime prevention initiatives, We've had a busy summer, but not horribly or not terribly busy. Again, part of it due to the liquor strike that occurred throughout the summer. On June 4th, we did a call of a robbery in which the victim was threatened with bear spray and the suspect stole her vehicle. We did locate that suspect and we arrested 2 occupants at the time. Between June 23rd and June 25th, we intercepted 7 impaired drivers. 4 of those were by officers on patrol noticing impaired driving, and the rest were called in by complainants that noticed the driving and called into the police. So we intercepted those drivers. July 5th, we were informed that a female had made threats while at the hospital. She was going to start a fire. She then made her way to a local gas station and ignited a gas pump. However, the gas was turned off before major damage occurred. We then found her. As we were looking for her, we found her in a construction yard attempting to start another fire and called the assistance of her firefighters to put that fire out. She was arrested and charged. On July 8th, our officer flagged down for a structure fire at McMahon Yates. You remember that? Yeah. Our officers attended to find smoke coming from the building and notified the fire department. We were able to gain access to that locked compound and we assisted the firefighters in establishing containment and extinguishing that fire. Fortunately, it did, as everybody knows, grew quite rapidly. The building could not be saved. That matter is under investigation with the fire commissioner's office having primary investigative authority. On that same night, almost at the same time the fire started, we received a report of a male jumping in front of traffic and punching vehicles. Just a few minutes later, we were updated that an ambulance had been stolen and it crashed into a tree near that same location. We intended to find that same male had been jumping in front of traffic driving the ambulance that had now crashed. He was arrested and charged with multiple offenses relating to theft of that vehicle. And as you know, on August 30th, we were dispatched to a weapons call to residence near the Asbury Apartments here in Thompson. We did find at that location a 33-year-old male had been shot. Transport to hospital to succumb to his injuries. 4 persons have been arrested thus far, and the investigation is being led by the G Division Major Crimes Unit based out of Winnipeg. Many community policing initiatives by our community policing relations units. Won't go through them all, but they're quite busy every day. They're not in the schools, they're in communities and committees throughout the town. And Rob, people who was quite busy for the summer, actually handing out lots of water to everybody. So I started counting them, but it was upwards of 15 lots of water that he handed out for the summers. Quick update on our priorities. Initiative 1 was to do some RC and PCSO joint initiatives to address downtown social disorder. Throughout the summer, we did not conduct any joint initiatives. That was due in part to CSO not being available, as well as our own officers being tied up with other initiatives. Initiative 2 was to develop the downtown crime suppression unit. We did, as you know, business cases were presented through PowerPoint presentation to both the city of Thompson, Robinson, and Manitoba. And the third initiative was to engage with our provincial liquor inspector and coordinate a minimum of 2 proactive initiatives targeting unlawful sales. I'm sure your worship knows that we recently have a new liquor inspector here in town, just sworn in, I believe. So we met him about a month ago. We'll start working with him to do these joint initiatives and target unlawful liquor sales in Thompson. Any questions, your worship, the council?
Council, any comments, questions? Councilor Wong.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you for the report. One of the report, prisoner of origin. If I read that right, looks like up to date is quite significant increase compared to 2022. So can you explain a bit like why is it that is a very high jump from even outside of Thompson alone?
Yep, so I can tell you, Councillor, this year so far, our prisoner count overall is significantly higher than it was last year, so about 26.9% higher, which is contributing to a higher count of origin prisoners not located or not residing within Thompson. And so the reason why we're arresting more prisoners, it could be a variety of reasons. perhaps it's just more officers out and about being more proactive. Perhaps the CSOs too, the CSOs were busy while they were active and bringing in visitors every day, so.
Yes, anything else? Councilor Wong, you're good? You're good?
I'm good, yeah.
Deputy Mayor Valentino?
Thank you, President. Thanks for the report. Couple of things for me is, one, I know we haven't touched base, but the night of the McMunn fire, thank you to the RCMP that were on duty. Mayor Smook and I were there and they were helpful because they ended up running short with the ambulance call. So we were all talking and trying to help each other out. So thanks to those young members that were down at that four-way stop. And the other thing for myself is we've had these initiatives and number two presented to council a couple times. I'd like that to get back to council if it could be on an agenda for in camera, because I feel that the latest Facebook things that are coming out of what's happened outside Walmart, that we are working on a plan, but I feel like we owe it to our public to make a decision on this and get this moving. So, and I know it's been summer and we've had breaks, but I think that needs to get back in front of council at an agenda so we can actually make a decision and move forward to let our public know that we are working on a safety initiative that we feel will help. So those would be my two things. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Mayor. With the Walmart thing, it's where I've been sending all these reports, these incidents and that to Walmart. So the most recent one where a woman got back in the head, I sent that to Walmart. So I got a call today I got the emails from them. Then I got a call today from Thompson Walmart. So then he was like, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't know why you're saying this. Right away, he was just arguing with me. I said, see it, and I hung up on him. But it's where, I said, I don't need to deal with you. I said, that's why I don't call Thompson, because I send all the reports to Walmart. And it's where I'm not trying to be a vigilante or anything, but I stand out there too, because we almost got attacked with my daughter and they say, no, that's not our jurisdiction and that is at the buildings and stuff like that. I said, the RCMP don't need to be standing there every day. What are you doing with your security? But he goes, who are you? And all this. See, but it's a lot of, I don't know, there's better, I know it takes a lot of your time and that, but I know it's kind of for you guys, and you guys don't need to just stand outside Walmart and that, but it's really when you guys are there, there's a presence. Maybe once a week or something, that somebody goes there.
Thank you, Council. We do make an effort. I have to say, I don't think that you can drive from one end of Thompson to the other without the police car out and about and moving and driving and being visible. So as far as visibility in Thompson, I think the police are actually quite visible here. And we're looking at total calls for service and available members that we have, keeping in mind that our officers here are taking 3 to 4 times the amount of calls for service that officers in the south are. They do make, I think, every best effort they can to get out. It's not to say that we can't make an attempt to do better and to get out and be a little bit more visible in front of Walmart and pass it on and you can know that we're best to do that. So.
Yes, thank you guys. It's not, I'm saying that you guys are not there, you know what I mean? But in the beginning there, you guys are there and then everybody's like, oh no, only there's something, it's it was safe. But it's like my apologies, you need to get off, but it's not like you guys are not there, but you're there.
Sounds great, and I think that gets back to that crime detection unit. The whole point of that was visibility in or down for public disorder.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor?
Sorry, thanks, Minister. I got another thing here. So clearly there is a relation between the sale of hard liquor and calls.
We absolutely saw
Right.
A correlation.
Right. So I also think if we're gonna talk about the crime suppression unit and where we're going with that, we should also talk about what our jurisdiction is as a mayor and council to maybe look at the hours of that facility. Because if this data is showing that, then maybe we need to tell them either, give us some money for more social issues, or we may have to bylaw the operating hours of that facility, because it seems that the data, they did their own experiment here by going on strike for us, and now we have the data to prove that they go hand in hand. So I think that's just more me talking about maybe something we should discuss also when we talk about the crime suppression unit as a council. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm happy to provide you with whatever staff that you need. You just tell me what you want and the time period, and I'll whatever.
Thank you.
I must say, it's been really nice, getting the staff. It definitely gives us leverage when we're working with the province and the government. It's also great to hear that we're up to, even despite summer, 5 out of 9 clerical. I know that might not sound good to some people, but when we were 2 out of 9, that was pretty scary. So it's nice to see that. It's also nice to see when the city's caucus and some of the other cities take so long to fill with their recruitments. And that's one thing about Thompson. It seems, even though we're a bit of a revolving door, we do get the numbers, we do get the members here in a timely manner to fill our numbers. So I definitely appreciate all that he's doing that line of it too. So, and like I say, these statistics just give us more ammunition. So when we're going forward to the province and the feds, that we have something to work with. So thank you very much for your.
I'm happy to help with any way I can. I'll point out too, really quickly, we did have a recruiting event on Friday and Saturday night. We had fairly low attendance. However, from that, I'm anticipating possibly seeing 3 applicants. We've already had 1 apply as a result of that recruiting event. So we have received 1 applicant from Thompson, 2 days, but I kept more about 2 minutes. So it's nice recruitment out of Thompson.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I do have one question I always want to ask you about. I believe they used to have those auxiliary RCMP helping. Why that program is stopped, or is it still happen or no?
The auxiliary program was put in hold. I think it is still actually in abeyance right now, while it's under a very lengthy and thorough review, because they're changing the entire auxiliary program. So I don't think that we have the availability of the auxiliary program right now. It's going to be coming, but it's going to be a lot different than it used to be.
So when you see the review, is it they're going to look in a better way to do it, or they're just going to take it away?
They're completely changing it. So auxiliary won't be allowed to go on the road with us anymore. They'll be more in schools, doing presentations, doing tables at conventions, trade shows, that kind of thing. So they won't be partnered with us on the road anymore, as I understand it.
It's not going.
It's gonna be quite different.
To me, it's not good, because those programs are really effective. Some of my friends did it before. They're still, I believe they're still ready to go, but anyway, thank you.
thank you. Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Worship.
Next is the report to Community Safety Officer Program. As Director Wiseman's not here, we'll take it as information. It is in our packages. So next we'll go to 5.2, Public Safety. And I think we're going to, the report for Community Services is also from Director Wiseman in our packages. And we'll go to 5.3, Thompson Fire and Emergency.
Pardon me, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll start off with the stats for last month, and then we'll move into the report. So just reviewing the stats for the month of August. So on the fire responses, we had 49 calls for the month of August. Total loss of $75,000 with 6 general alarms. Year to date, we had 331. Totaling just just over 7.8 million with 19 general alarms. Year to date has dropped, not considerably, but noticeably, to about a 9% drop of 362 year to date from this time last year. The ambulance calls have again, we've had a busy summer downstairs, and we've had some challenging issues with respect to our vacancy rate, which I'll touch on the next report. But for the month of August, 652 EMS calls, year to date was 5,637, which is an increase of roughly 400 calls over this time last year. of 5,267 with a 7% increase. On the inspections and prevention, we did 6 inspections. We levied a fine to a local business owner. Along with one other additional single fine totaling 1,376. 32 inspections totaling, with 1 re-inspection, total fines issued was $45,073. Considerable uptake, and the reason why the uptake on the inspections, one, I mean, with respect to the administration downstairs, we're struggling on the inspections, but what we're seeing coming out of the Director of Asset Infrastructure's office, these due diligence reports. So that tells me that when we see a due diligence report come across, there's the potential sale of a business in our community, which is encouraging to see new ownership coming into our community. So we see those due diligence reports more often than not, which kind of takes priority over not to take away, but take priority over our inspections. Fire pits, again, the duty crews, when they find time, they'll go out and do the inspections. So again, we had two new inspections, pardon me, and 5 renewals, 19 to date, which is a drop from last year. But the intake of the renewals, so that's kind of balances out with respect to, you know, a new fire pit versus a renewal. So again, the numbers kind of balances out on that. So no questions, we'll move right into the report. Again, a couple of highlights. Again, we had a busy summer. I'd like to report that we had the opportunity in early August to, whether you know it, Inspector World, but we worked with the GIS unit along with the Public Investigations Committee to serve notice to 2 homes under the Fortified Detentions Act here in Thompson. And what that means is they have basically fortified the entrance of their homes, which is a contravention to the Fortified Detentions Act, which is basically enforced by the local police department. So we had the opportunity to go out and do some educational piece with myself, Deputy Sweeney, and the building inspector with 2 local homes. But more importantly, we also targeted 2 businesses downtown, specifically Walmart and Dollarama, with the sales of intoxicants to a vulnerable population. So we spoke to them on August 3rd with respect to selling the intoxicants underneath the cash register between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. each morning. And they alluded to the fact that they would stop, try to curb the sale of those intoxicants. Dollarama stopped it immediately. We revisited Walmart less than a week ago, and they admitted to the fact that they're still selling. So we're working with the Department of Justice Public Inspection Branch, Kevin Dooley and Travis, forgive me. They're coming back up, and we're looking at potentially levying a fine at the corporate level for Walmart totaling $50,000. For the sale use of intoxicants to a vulnerable population. A lot of education went down with respect to the usage of common sense. But they're in contravention of their own policies and procedures with respect of any type of mouthwash, hand sanitizer, thank you, containing alcohol should be locked up and whatnot. The fact that they're selling it from the till to move the vulnerable population in and out is not a good one. So they're coming up. I'm looking forward to meeting with them again and then going over and having some further discussions with Walmart. Also, on another note, our vacancy rate downstairs, even though we had 2 new hires last month, we still have 4 vacancies, hard vacancies, as the inspector would call it. We have 1 that was on leave of absence from a mandatory leave, 1 on WCP. I'm happy to report that those 2 firebags have since returned back to work. We still have 1 that's off on maternity. She's expected to return in January. We also had a conditional offer sent out for HR department for 3 to 4 candidates that we interviewed. I'm disappointed to report that 2 of the candidates have failed the copper exam, which means they don't have a paramedic license, and the third one that we offered the conditional offer to has accepted position work outside the province. So that leaves us back to square one with respect to our resource pool. Some of the highlights noted here on the report: we attended the Payne Lake Volunteer Fire Department's pancake breakfast at Payne Lake on September 2nd. We officially handed the keys over to 179 to Fire Chief Frank DeRose and his department, Pink Lake. They accepted that truck with open arms, and they didn't realize how beneficial it would be to the Pink Lake volunteer or Pink Lake committee or community. The resolution was passed, as you all know, on August 14th by council repairs for ladder 180. The repairs will be completed off-site at Seahawk in Carmen, Manitoba. The city of Thompson will be awarding a ladder truck from Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Chief Smith. Services at no cost other than the applicable insurances for the internal while the repairs are being made to ladder 180. The expected time for the truck that will be out of service is approximately 2 weeks, and we are still on target with next week with that starting to transpire. The next step from January to August, we responded to 5,622 calls in 2023, as we noted on the staff report. Of those 5,622 calls, 2,040 were primary calls to Thompson, which would relate to a 36.2% of total calls. Of those 2,040 calls, 40% were to Thompson residents in the first half of this year. Overtime from January to the end of August of 2023 totaled 5,732.25 hours, which translates to $582,151.81 compared to 2022 of 2,421.25 hours at a cost of $306,000. Basically, overall increase of 52% over the previous year, which directly are the causes are staffing levels and our increased calls for service. Still at the vacancy rate of 20% downstairs. A good report on the 27th of August, firefighter Levante and our new firefighter Waterher delivered a healthy baby girl here in Thompson.
Oh.
So again, that's kind of new because these things, the shared health and the college paramedics they're actually in process right now of developing a new policy with respect to these complex calls with respect to deliveries outside of the hospital. Multiple members of TFES, both current auxiliary attendant 2023 World Police and Fire Games Winnipeg from July 28th to August 6th. Some of our members know here Lieutenant Holly finished 4th in the overall firefighters challenge. Firefighter Levante participated in flag football, received bronze, and firefighter Valentina received a silver medal in men's hockey, which was comprised mostly of our local RCMP. The next bullet is with respect to, I was asked by our city manager after receiving the stats from the RCMP if we could have some type of correlation. The deputy and I worked on this, and to give the true capture would be the weekends. That's when we feel our calls for service, our calls are at the utmost, are the busiest. So you'll know from August 4th to 7th, 11th and 14th, 18th to 21st, and 25th to 28th, the liquor store, in fact, was closed. The weekend that it opened up on September long, we had an increase of 108% in calls for service, 4 of which were stabbings and 3 of which were domestic assaults. So the TFES is projected based on year-to-date responses to the end of the year, roughly 9,000 total responses. This would equate to roughly a 66% increase in total call volume since 2010. End of year total responses for that year were 5,418 compared to the projected 9,000 for this year. The reason that for this is significant, I'll stand corrected, but I believe in 2010 was the last time that TFES received a staffing level increase, increasing our minimum manning going from 3 to 5. And that was for your information, was the 2N2 rule with respect to the legislation for firefighters. So while our responses have gone up 66% since 2010, our staffing levels have remained the same, which is leading to extensive overtime and causing burnout among staff, which I'm sadly to report one of our members have resigned due to being burnt out. In fact, he is stepping away from the emergency scenes altogether and going into the concrete business with his brother. So, any questions?
Any questions, council? Comment? Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mr. Smith. Thanks for the report. So, the overtime from January to, no, the one above that, from January to August, when you say 40% of the calls were Thompson residents, is
Yes,
that ambulance?
only and,
That's only ambulance?
yes,
Okay. And then the charge about when the liquor store was closed?
Yeah.
So the downtown calls are ambulance?
correct.
Okay, and our councils signed or we passed to have that agreement till June 30th? Right, or,
For the SPA.
yeah. What's is that just in limbo now, or is that something we need to escalate on our
Well, I
end?
think we definitely need to escalate it because I was questioned today that, and I'll stand on the lady, Helen Clark. She is the deputy minister for shared health.
Yeah,
She's making the proposal right now that the funding model for Thompson's SPA is to move forward on 8 positions. The question from shared health is, would the city be willing to accept the funding for 8 positions? And if so, we would have to provide some type of operational guideline to shared health to show whatever it is they need to show. That's the question, that's the latest right now. There were 3 recommendations put forward. One was to staff the third out ambulance, and by the way, during that week of September 1 to 4, we had all 4 ambulances in operation. All 4. One was to staff the third out ambulance. That was a recommendation. The second recommendation was to look at a staffing model to involve firefighter EMRs that would be registered in good standing with the College of Paramedics. And the third option was to have the city of Thompson look at contracting out the services for the airport medevacs lower acuity calls. Those were the 3 recommendations put forward to our city manager, again, through Darren Bacon with shared health. But today, pardon me, today I got that call. So obviously they are moving forward on some type of agreement with the SPA, but that was the question. And I spoke to the mayor this afternoon and she would talk to Ms. Taylor.
okay, thanks for the update.
Yes, these recommendations will all be something that'll come before council. And, you know, we had talked about the budget process before we can move ahead. Or anything. Any other questions? Council Wong.
Yeah, Madam, thanks for the report, Steve. When you say we short staff, like, are you short EMS or the firefighter or both?
Both
There,
paramedics.
So basically, when we hire a person doing both jobs.
Correct.
Is there any way we can break that?
Pardon me?
Break that position into 2 different things?
That would not be my decision.
No, but is it because of the way of the law say you have to hire a person that can do 2 things, or just because of Thompson model?
It's been our model ever since its inception. We've
I
always.
think we should have
operated
those kind of
service.
discussion in a different event, because I think somehow there's some problem there when I look at that. That's why we always have problem with recruiting people and retaining people for that.
The problem is not of recruiting. The problem right now is the way the College of Paramedics are redesigning the whole curriculum for paramedics. We, along with Winnipeg, Brandon, and the other major centers that are standing at the finishing line of the cookie cutter, which is the Emergency Services College in Brandon, they started the new curriculum this month. Those candidates, 40 in total, will not be finished until January 2025. So they're not spitting in no more firemen. So everybody that's recruiting right now, Winnipeg just posted. And we have 6 additional staff people downstairs that are in the writing process on September 27th.
Sorry, when you say they're training the both things at the same time? Or
Yes, they're spending 1 year for firefighting. And at the end result, the firefighter will come up with a few more qualifications with respect to confined space rescue technicians and trench rescue. PCP program, we met with the instructors at the college. Again, they refined from a 10-month to a 1-year program. So 1 year firefighting, 1 year PCP with a combined 2 years total.
The reason I say that because I did talk to some of the people that have been in this job for a long time. So those are one of the conversations we had. So I kind of like, I want to bring it up to this table and say whether maybe we should look into the model that we're doing. Maybe it'd be easier for you to qualify some of the candidate to do certain things. And but if you say that's the way it is, so maybe there's no other option, but what
There is another option with respect to a staffing model, and that is to lower the qualifications from firefighter, paramedic to firefighter EMR. And an EMR can do the majority of the work under the guidance of a fellow PCP in the ambulance with respect to taking vital signs, stabilizing the patient. If something comes a little bit more complex with respect to possibly putting an IV in or administering advanced drugs, then the PCP can do that. You know what I'm saying? So we can look at hiring potentially EMRs that can do the job. Blended with our PCPs, we're not etched in stone to hire just fire paramedics.
because when you say that you fail a couple of candidates because of what? Is it because of they pass one thing, but they're not pass the other
They
thing?
did not pass their national exam. Their copper exam is a national accredited exam that the College of Paramedics has no guidance over. This is an independent body that will put out an exam based on the recommendations from the College of Paramedics. They failed because they never met the grade to whatever. They didn't study enough. They took it for granted. I can't speak on the candidates that failed. They're rewriting in December.
So based on what you just said earlier, that means there is alternative that we can look into if we want to do it right.
But that would be a decision for mayor and council.
Now, this
That's
is
all.
all great conversations, but it's definitely something that has to go in camera with the
Okay,
department,
that's
with
why I said I want to
ourselves.
see whether there is alternative or not. If there is alternative, then we can look into and talk about it. That's what I just said, right? I'm not saying we gotta do it today or make the decision. Okay, thanks for your.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions, comments? No? Thank you, Chief Muller.
Well,
Thank you, Deputy Chief Sweeney, for being in attendance also. Next, we're going into legislature. First is a letter of response from the Liquor Gaming and Cannabis Authority in regards to the office closure in Thompson. Is there anybody admin that wants to give comment? Lynn? No.
No, it's just that the office that they're closing was never open to the public, as was explained in the letter, and they're not intending to reduce the staffing here. It's just that their staff will be more mobile and moving from community to community.
Thank you. Any comments from council? I would just like to say that being a population of 13,000, you know, with the Liquor Gaming and Cannabis Authority, I think if anything, they should have more of a presence in Thompson with the number of population. And if we're not, the office isn't open to the public, maybe there is a reprint. They are coming to Thompson to talk to us. I definitely think that we should be ready, as this is one more position moving out of Thompson, whether the office was open to the public or not. It was an office for the people up here, and I do feel it's definitely important that it be replaced with something that we do have accountability for the people that work there. Thank you. 6.2 is a letter from executive assistant in regards to October council schedule. Tammy.
Sure, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is September 30th. As this day falls on Saturday, the city of Thompson in lieu will be closed on Monday, October 2nd. There is a council meeting scheduled for that day, but as per section 9.22 of our Oregon procedural bylaw, says that if a meeting, meeting falls on a Monday, which is a holiday, it just gets bumped to Tuesday. So we don't need a resolution for this. We just move the meeting to Tuesday. It's just for council's information.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move to 6.3, discussion on the development on the senior beds. And I do believe, Tammy, you have to be able to that.
Yeah, so Katie came to council on September 5th. And some of the requests that they had was, they would like letters sent from the mayor's office to the MLA. Petition is to be put in City Hall and for the council to lobby the minister responsible for seniors and long-term care. So you guys just need to decide on what you want to do.
Thank you. I know lobbying for the seniors home, and that is definitely something that's been ongoing in Thompson for a long time in order actually to get Spirit Manor. Deputy Mayor Valentino's mother was very front and center about giving the money, and then even then the government sort of put a mandate on the group at that time and saying you have to raise X amount of dollars before they'll move. And what happened is this group raised this money in a very short time. It still took approximately another 5 years for them to step up to the plate with the Spirit Manor. So anybody like to start or talk about what we'd like to do? I know it's election blackout. We can't really do even too much until after the election, but any comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was just gonna say, yeah, I mean, her thanking her letter of support from the mayor's office, I think is a reasonable request and to offer the petition to be available for signing if we want it. But I think until after the provincial election, that would be all we could do at this point, but not to lose sight of it.
Councilor Wong?
What you're really asking is for us to lobby some of the funding for this, right? And more beds for Thompson and personnel care, right?
But then more.
Seniors.
Senior, right?
Yeah.
Do we have those facilities that we can accommodate? Let's say we do manage to lobby and the government willing to fund those. Do we have those or we have to?
We don't have enough resources up here now. A lot of the folks from the north end are going south or to other.
The reason I'm asking this because we have 3 buildings. One of the buildings can be converted into those. Like for the bathing facility,
Yeah.
or they have to be close by the hospital or like what? I'm not quite sure what exactly that's me to do for that.
Well, like your seniors' homes and that, they have to, it has to pass government regulations, government inspections. Basically, you do need government dollars to, to build them, government permission. It's no different than really building a hospital or a clinic.
So it's a facility that she kind of looking into as well, right? To say we can help, right? So that's what I'm saying, maybe there's a building that we can look into to convert into that. That's what I'm just saying. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think it's more than just a facility, it's the whole care part of it, and staffing and the whole network.
So we, okay, the share is short, like how we will get it more, let's say we don't have those facilities to support that request. Or personnel to do the job.
Well, it's like when you open any new facility and you recruit for that, even now for assisted living, we recruit people to come and help. Like it's.
Because we do a lot of, like, throughout the year, we do a lot of things that are based on availability study and all that to come to present to the government. So sometimes you do successfully get that. So what I'm trying to say, if we want to do that, we can use some of the property that we have and say, look, we can easily get this program going. All we need is your training, all your funding, and we don't have to wait for building a building. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like that's why I suggest.
No, I think there's different options they're looking at. Like it's all like, even for the ability to the elderly to live in their own home longer. You know, whether it be better home care, whether it, be assisted living, meals on wheels, even different things like that. It's just options to make sure that the elderly are looked after. Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
So her presentation was for Northern Manitoba, not for Thompson. So based on the provincial announcements, every region got dollars for programs or for senior beds in the province except for Northern Manitoba. So she's looking for support as she is making a case to the province saying, why did Northern Manitoba not get any money for seniors, for senior programming, or for more personal care home beds in the existing personal care homes? It would just be expansions. So she was looking for our support for the entire north. Is how I understood the presentation.
I also heard they say we're short of that in top, like northern too, so like. So that means we need to have the facility to accommodate that, right? Maybe just something more than I know, so I just want to try to see what I can do about it.
Well, is everybody in favor of running the support letter from my office?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Because we can always use her. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none. All for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Valentine, Councilor Fitzpatrick, all in favor?